Hi everybody, welcome to History 43530. I'm Bill L. Smith, the professor for this class. And I got to tell you, when I first sketched out what we would cover in this class, it was about 3.5 semesters long, instead of a nice tight 15 weeks. There is so much to cover if you're going to talk about war and peace and diplomacy in the United States and the world from 1898 to the present. I see other examples of this class offered at other places. We'll look at their syllabi and stuff. And the way they get around it is by condensing everything since the end of the Cold War to about a week and a half. But we're going to try and give everything equal shrift from 1898 to the present and cover that in detail. It also makes some sense to me now why, when I had a version of this class when I was an undergraduate history major at Chico State University back in the day, my professor talked so darn fast and added every detail imaginable because his approach to ensuring that we got all the material we needed was to just cram details in on top of details. Made it really difficult to take away messages and themes because they didn't focus on themes. They were just detail after detail. So I've taken a different approach, and what you'll see is that we're going to have these 5 key concepts that underpin all the rest of the stuff we talk about. So right at the beginning, this first week of this semester, I'm going to ask you to try and get a sense of these 5 key concepts, and then we'll return to them over and over throughout the semester, especially on the exams. There's 3 exams scheduled, one with each of the units. There's no aggregate final exam. It's just a third exam. And it'll be the key concepts which then get augmented by the specific examples from the material we're covering. So we'll look at 1898 to the dawn of World War II. We'll look at World War II and the formation of the United Nations through the end of the Cold War and the end of the Cold War through what we call the era of transactionalism that we're in now. And that'll make more sense in a few months when we get there. As for myself, I'm a trained historian. My PhD is in history from Washington State University in the great year of 2000. But I'm something of a lapsed historian. Some people refer to themselves religiously as lapsed this or lapsed that. I was hired here at the University of Idaho to teach in the International Studies program and to run the Martin Institute and the Bora Foundation. Both of these are fantastic preparation to teach diplomatic history, but my history bona fides, that's like, I haven't exercised that muscle for about 20 years in terms of prepping a class. So it's been a very interesting experience for me to get this class ready and make sure it wasn't an international studies class, it was a history class. That's been fun. The Martin Institute and the Bora Foundation both focus on the causes of war, the conditions for peace in the international system. And they deal with a couple of Idahoans who had outsized roles in important things that happened in U.S. diplomatic history. It's why I think that taking this class at this university in this state should be a unique and dynamic experience because Idaho has an outsized role. Idaho has done interesting things throughout the 20th and into the 21st centuries on diplomatic history, on war and peace, on the balance of powers that's set out in our Constitution. So that'll be, I think it's real advantage to be in Idaho to do this. And I'm not sure if I was had not had the experience of the Martin and the Bora that I would think of it in quite this way. So whereas I think maybe you have a bit of a disadvantage because if you had someone who was a diplomatic historian rather than a historian who studied diplomacy, it would have made it my life's work to story the historical themes and the historiography, the great authors and the great arguments. Instead, I've been on the practical side of things, looking at how it ties back into current events and impacts Idaho today. But with that Bora and Martin experience, with looking at Frank Church, with talking to James Risch and others, I think you'll see that there's a dynamic thing. Okay, so we're an online class, but hopefully you don't feel that it's a thing you have to deal with me only online. I'm happy to meet with people in person, happy to talk to people on Zoom. I only have 3 posted office hours a week, but I spend 20 to 25 hours in my office. But I ask you to email me to set something up rather than use Vandalstar because it guesses, and beyond the 3 hours, my available hours change week to week, so it's really awkward when I get a notification. The way it works on our end is if you schedule something on Battlestar, you get an email in the morning that says, good news, you have an appointment at this time, and that might not work at all for me. So email is best, but happy to talk on the phone, Zoom, Teams, whatever works for you. I hope you ask questions in advance if you've got, you don't wait till the last minute if you're concerned about something. And I hope you find the reading and visual material engaging. So you're going to have these 3 units. Each of the units has 2 subunits. that try to aggregate things in a roughly 4 topics. So a total of 24 topics for the semester that you can focus on instead of every detail in the world. Within those, you'll have readings assigned beyond the textbook that will be either primary documents or um, scholarly articles, and then some video materials. My suggestion to you is to take some brief notes on those. It doesn't have to be anything extensive, but something that will help your recall, because you'll be able to use your notes when it comes time for the exams. Be much easier to have some notes in place on everything than to go back and relook at everything. There'll be other information coming out. I hope to see you, engage with you. I wish you the best. Please be in touch. Cheers.